ExxonMobil Masterpiece Theater has been brought to you by a grant from the ExxonMobil Corporation. Every year for 30 years.
Once upon a time, and not so long ago either, railroads were stuff that children's dreams were made of. They were not just terrifying symbols of power, those huge iron locomotives thundering across the countryside, spewing fire and steam. They were also subversive agents of discontent. Trains could set you free from the humdrum confines of home. The wail of a train whistle in the night could start a child dreaming of escape to adventure in glory in faraway places. Railroads were romance. The Railway Children, Edith Nesbit's widely loved family classic, is set in the early part of the 20th century, when the great age of railroading was well advanced. If tonight's show makes it look a bit more glamorous than it really was, it's because we're seeing railroad life as the three children in the story would have seen it. They're from a well-to-do family, and glamorous though railroads may have been at the time, proximity to steam locomotives and coal smoke didn't make for prime real estate in the upper classes. The story is about how they and their mother wound up living down by the railroad tracks and how it enriched their lives. The cast includes the celebrated British film director Richard Attenborough in a rare television appearance, playing a railroad tycoon in a Santa Claus beard. The mother's role is played by Jenny Agutter, who scored a memorable triumph in another movie version of this story 30 years ago. In that one, she played the older daughter. Now, the Railway Children. The notion of a soft-hearted railroad baron will seem far-fetched to people who know railroad history. In America, at least, most railroad tycoons, from Commodore Vanderbilt on, were ruthless and piratical, and some clearly criminal. Railroading was a brutal business at the top and at the bottom, where the owner's indifference to safety problems produced an appalling toll of mutilations and deaths. It engendered class hatreds, which expanded the socialist movement in America and made a working-class hero of Eugene Debs, one-time railroad worker, twice the socialist candidate for president. Edith Nesbit never worked on the railroad, but like Debs, she was also a socialist. She was a founding member of the Fabian Society, a group of intellectuals whose ideas influenced the development of British socialism and the birth of the Labour Party. It's interesting to note that tonight's show, with its conventional children's story morality, was written by a woman whose private life was as unorthodox as her politics. She and her husband, Hubert Bland, were married 2 months after the birth of their first child. They had a second child. Edith named him Fabian. Then the Fabian Society's female secretary came to live with them, and within the year gave birth to Hubert's baby. Edith raised the child as her own. She and Hubert remained married for 34 years. When he died, Edith married again and continued writing children's books until her death 10 years later. Altogether, she published over 40 novels. I'm Russell Baker. Good night.